we're talking about square feet in the messenger group last night. So anytime you see a demo, I don't care like if it's a black belt, multiple time world champion, or a wrestler, or judo, black belt, whatever, Olympian, whatever. Anytime you see square feet, right, in terms of the person it's being done to, so Matt Thornton has always talked about don't look at the person doing the demo, look at the person receiving it, right, for a start. Look at the person receiving it, and one of the things I always look at now is why their feet square, right? Because if their feet are square, then basically we're in a situation where that person who's receiving the technique doesn't have any torque. That is the primary thing. They don't have any torque. So my first question to that person would be as like whether they understand theoretically you are controlled by the camera. That's the camera they put in front of.
Sorry. Yeah.
Alright. So theoretically, do they understand that difference? Do they understand that, and does the coach understand it as well? So if my feet are square, I am focusing on my pelvis being more important than my 12, and like it's almost like if I have a staggered stance, right? If you try all this yourself, right? As you begin to stagger your stance, try and move your pelvis and see what happens to your pelvis as your feet go 12 and 3, right? So if my feet are square, I'm vulnerable to being taken sideways, right? That's just how it is. My feet are square, I'm vulnerable to this. I could go really wide and protected, but then this creates problems here. The reason we always stagger our feet 12 and 3 is because it allows us to begin to twist. And you can feel that as you begin to 12 and 3 on this, your pelvis cannot really engage. You don't get to twist. In fighting, in human movement, you do not get to twist your shoulders into the middle of the 12 and 3 with all the biomechanical benefits that gives you when your feet are square. So everyone get that? Try it, right? Here, I can tilt my pelvis. I'm still vulnerable sideways, right? Unless I take some ridiculous posture where I'm basically gonna give up everything, right? So I always have to be in a 12 and 3. And the moment you start to take a 12 and 3 with any kind of reasonable width in it, your pelvis will not tilt. Like it begins to stop tilting. Does everyone feel that difference? Right, it's a trend. Do you want this with all the benefits of it? Do you want this with all the benefits of it? Or do you want to be able to do this and this? And it's important that when you watch people do demos, like asking, it's not an ad hoc, I'm not attacking them personally, I'm not denigrating their knowledge on a wider sphere, I'm not saying that you can't learn from them, I'm saying they understand basic biomechanics. And if they don't, there's a huge opportunity for them as a player, as a coach, because it's just how it is. And so any time I start hearing people start talking about pelvic tilt, I'll start asking what position are we talking about? That is going to be the beginning of it. Because in the closed guard, for example, it's a closed connected chain, right? So if Adam comes in, just come out of the camera a second. If Adam comes in, puts me in closed guard, he knows how to use a guard. If I'm going to need to use my pelvic chain here, my pelvic tilt in the connected chain. Why? Because he's pulling me in a straight line, and because this is closed, and I can't. And the minute I start to turn here, my shoulder feeds him. Because my ability here to move my legs, my underlying ability to get to 12 and 3 is compromised here. This to me is why Hickson says, even I couldn't get out my closed guard. It's not him boasting, maybe it is a little bit, but I think primarily what he's talking about is there is this dilemma that in order for me to get into a position where I have torque, as I'm transitioning, there is this huge window for him to pull me towards my head because my legs are loaded and I can't turn. But if Adam has his feet on my hips and I start talking about pelvic tilt, I'm going to say why? Because my better option is to get into a position where I'm beginning to twist. If we're in standing, if he gets hold of the gi, right, and I do a nice demo of like, oh, can you move me, right? And so I get here and I do a big pelvic tilt and he's trying to pull me, right? I look at this and say, well, okay, I can get really, really good at trying to sink into the ground. It's a really nice demo, however I do it, right? I can maybe do it here, but the real benefit, the real way to deal with this for me is to just start getting into my 12-3, or any one of the grips has gone, and I'm pulling it with my whole, with all this torque, versus I stay square and do some clever demo. You know, I have to get my feet 12-3, I stay square as I can. It's the twist that's going to kill this, the pulls, it's the twist that's going to get me out. It's the twist. That's what I'm kind of trying to get at. Is I always want to twist over this. So, we're going to grab a ball, and when we're doing this, where we're turning the back, I never ever want to be, this almost wants to be like a position where the minute I'm in here, I want to correct myself. I always want to be here. I always want to be here. Why? Because this angle, I'm not exposing my back anymore. Does everyone get that? I'm just not exposing my back. So I want you, as you're walking through, to keep defaulting. Just get a ball. Everyone get a ball and just default playing this. Just being in this middle position all the time. Yeah? Let's give it a go.